All right. Well, welcome back to the iWealth podcast. Today we are joined by the owner of iWealth, Mr. Brad Connors. And I want you to talk about temptation. Right? Not as a preacher, but I want you to talk about temptation.
I was going biblically?
Yeah. From the perspective of a financial planning. Because it's so easy to get sucked into the new boat, the new house, the new lake house.
It is. And there are, the catch term is Ponzi schemes. They're there.
Yep.
So my head, when you ask me this question, my head goes a couple different places. One is to that Ponzi type thing, but the other thing is trying to chase returns to try to get to something. And I'll give you a couple examples. So a long time ago, meaning 10 plus years ago, there were some clients that came in and were going to take money out of an IRA. And they were going to pay taxes and penalties because they were not 59 and a half. When you take it out of an IRA, that's what happens. The government says, pay your taxes, pay a penalty, 10%. So all of a sudden, 40% of this thing is gone. And they were going to give it to a guy that was going to invest it overseas for them. And they were going to quadruple their money, right? And so we sat down, had a good conversation, and the whole story, it looks too good to be true, what your grandparents teach you type thing, so on and so forth. Fast forward this story, they did not do it. They left their money alone, okay? Fast forward this story, and the guy's gone. The people that gave him money is gone, and he's behind bars, okay? It's just one of those things. A lot of times it's that intuition, right? So as a financial advisor, wealth advisor, my job is, because I hear them all. I hear, let's sell it all and buy gold, and let's do this and chase this next thing. My job is to help people not make those big mistakes when it comes to those type of like Ponzi schemes that could be out there, right? The other thing is risk. I see people that will come in and have a risk appetite for, let's go a scale of 0 to 10. They have a risk appetite for a 5, but they want to be at an 8 or 9 because their neighbor or the guy at work that they talk to every day at 8 or 9, and they're making much more returns. And so we've got to do this with our money, those type of things. Or another example, we had, this is again many years ago, where I had a client come in and they met with another financial advisor to help them with education planning. Okay. And that advisor was teaching them to take out all their Roth IRA monies and put it into a life insurance policy so it's not reportable on the FAFSA form that you have to fill out for college. And to our dismay, they did that. And then several years later, we had a conversation with them, and college came, and they filled out their FAFSA form, and they still didn't get financial aid. It just wasn't the right thing to do. And then they got rid of money that was tax-free forever, took it out of a Roth, put it in this life insurance policy. They had to pay for premiums because it's a death benefit. And so, again, our job, or when you work with somebody, accountability partner we've talked a lot about, is just to help people make good decisions, smart decisions with their money. Yeah. Work hard for it. Let it work hard for you. And I think having that accountability partner to kind of walk through those things. If something sounds too good to be true, talk to somebody about it. Just don't execute on it, right? Yeah. We've been taught that as kids. So
one of the things that I love about your process is this Riskalyze tool that you use. And the idea behind the Riskalyze tool, having done it before, is it kind of goes through and asks you a handful of questions. And the questions, you answer them with whatever feels right to you at that moment, right? Not how you were in the past, not how you think you'll be in the future, but at this moment, if this was the scenario that was in front of you, how would you play it out, right? What feels right at this moment? And what it does is it puts on paper and on purpose a number to where you sit at this moment. And what's interesting about your process is then you can go back and you can look at the decisions that you're going to make and say, according to the number, do my decisions that I'm making match up to my number? Right? Because you might think that you want to be really risky or really not risky, so to speak. But when you look at it in terms of an actual scenario, well, maybe you're a 55 on a scale of 1 to 100. Right. So I think, what was I this morning? Like a 55 on it?
I think it was in that neighborhood.
Yeah, something in that neighborhood. Where before, 5 years or 10 years ago, the first time that I did it, I was thinking I was 80.
Yeah, it was 78 or somewhere in that.
So I used to be much more risky. Now I'm 40 some years old.
And what's interesting about that comment is that changes depends on life events and age.
Yes.
So all of a sudden you might be you're going along as a 75 and you lose your job.
Yeah.
Or COVID hits or a recession hits, and we find that people's numbers change. it's not just because you're getting to retirement. It's just there's different life events and things that happen. But now that you understand that risk, now if you came back and say, hey, Brad, I want to buy all gold.
Yeah.
Sell it all and buy gold, or just the S&P 500. Well, that doesn't align to your risk score.
Yeah.
So is
you
it
can
really
look
the
at
right
the riskalized
decision?
score, and you can say, well, if you bought all gold might be what on the riskalized score?
I haven't looked at it for a while, but let's say it's 95.
Yeah, so it'd be very, very high.
Yeah.
And right now I'm a 55.
Right.
So now you could say what to me as the financial advisor?
Doesn't align, Matt.
Doesn't align.
Doesn't align. Yeah.
And you're using the data that's actually from me.
Right.
That's invaluable.
Yeah.
It's absolutely invaluable.
That's really cool too.
And it's also something that's pretty unique to what you guys do, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the tool is out there for other advisors and stuff to use, but I think we use it in the context. We have about 3 or 4 tools that we put together to put together the whole plan, but that's one of those that's pretty cool.
It kind of keeps you from yourself.
That's right. I think the biggest thing is just to talk to somebody about it. I mean, we've all watched the info commercials at midnight, right, on how to get rich quick, and it's like, is it really that type? Let's talk to somebody. So.
Let's get some real data on it.
Yeah.
And I think it's so interesting to have a number for yourself at that moment. That's the part that's just mind-blowing about that little Riskalyze tool.
You know what also is interesting, Matt, is we'll have a husband and a wife that are 2 different, and they now have the ability where they each take their own quiz. And then it puts together a risk score for them based upon both of those quizzes. And then we have a really cool conversation about that too.
Yeah. And then you look at that to compare. So, okay, in terms of how the process works, right? The husband takes the quiz, the wife takes the quiz, the 2 numbers come together, and then you look at everything that they're invested in.
Already today.
Yeah. And at that moment, now it boils down to one number, right?
Yeah.
And then you take and you look at, okay, together as a couple, you're a 50. And right now you're invested at an 80. Let's bring those 2 numbers back into unison with each other.
Right.
As soon as you have that, now your financial plan works.
Right.
Or that spoke of it works.
Right.
The
and then how does
side.
that fit into your overall cash flow plan when you retire? Are you taking on enough risk to produce enough income or not taking on enough? So it all fits back into the whole plan as well. Yeah.
If somebody's interested in this.
Yeah, just give us a call or send us an email, and we can, link them up to the tool and have a good conversation with them. Yeah.
There you go. Well, we'll see you back here next time.
All right. Thanks,
Later.
Matt.